Funny.
Hey friends, welcome back to Thrive and Align Healing Podcast. This is episode 95. And this week we have guests, some of my favorite humans, Darren and Alex. And they own a very unique business here in Oklahoma. And they have such an extensive background in fitness, CrossFit, my favorite, and nutrition. And so we're just gonna kind of like riff today over topics that we love to talk about. Hopefully you guys can get some stuff about nutrition and fitness and just as different perspectives. So that's kind of what we're going to do. So Darren and Alex, tell us about your business. What you guys do.
Okay. Well, thanks for having us on.
Yeah. Hello.
This is exciting. Well, it's AO Fitness Concepts is our business, and it's an online nutrition training and lifestyle platform for delivering those things to people. Through programming, one-on-one chats, all kinds of stuff. Do you want to go a little deeper or have another description?
Yeah. So we have actually been in the fitness and nutrition business for going on 9 years in 2022. And we initially started with a brick and mortar business. We owned a CrossFit gym for 7 years to the day. We started our online business about 2019. And we honestly didn't really think that it was going to take off.
I was very resistant to putting programming online and starting this online thing, because at the time we were so deep in the gym, and you want me to do what? You want me to add something else to the things that we're already doing?
Right.
Yeah, that was a tough call.
Yeah, but I think the universe and some really good friends of ours actually pushed us in that direction. We had a few ID clients or individualized design clients that they were members of the gym with us. And then they said, man, I just really want to be able to take you with us. And we were like, oh, okay, well, that kind of makes sense. And then we ended up becoming an online in 2019. And then in 2020, obviously COVID hit. We were getting ready to have our second child, and I looked at Darren and said, what the fuck are we doing here?
Well, and actually our employees sat me down one day, because this was after we came back from closing down for 2 months from COVID.
6
or just
weeks.
month and a half.
And we had OJ in week 5 of the COVID shutdown.
So then we opened the gym back up to allow people to start coming back in. Yep. Well, nobody came. Nobody wanted to come in. No, everybody wanted to stay home.
Online.
And that was kind of the first sign. So we had, I think like 3 or 4 people the entire month come through, and our employees at the time sat me down after class one day and said, what are we doing? Like, what do you guys want to do? We're going to follow. If you want to stay and you want to keep this thing going, okay, we're here for it. But if not, then let's make a decision and let's move forward with it. So I went home that day and talked to Alex about it. And, it was not the first time that we had that conversation about closing down, just with our family and wanting to spend more time. Yeah. Closing down that physical space for more of what we're doing online, because it did actually start to take off and we were paying our bills and starting to go somewhere with it. So that day we said, okay, let's close it. Let's shift.
Yeah.
So
I imagine cause CrossFit, we're so much community, right?
Right.
Yeah.
How did you guys deal with that? Letting go of that piece of that, community. I don't know. Maybe I've been informed that people don't love CrossFit as much as I do. So,
well, I think the big part of it was, COVID was not a blessing in its totality, but it really allowed us, and I think a lot of people in our lives, to be able to really step back and figure out what really mattered most to them. Mm-hmm. And the members that were with us, that came with us in the online space. And it was such an interesting blessing for us, because we had started this online business in 2019, and then 2020 hit, and we were already operating in the online space. And so we had just kind of said, okay, we have this platform already ready for you guys. Let's roll into it. And we were finding that we were still able to cultivate a relationship and a community even outside of the physical gym space, and so it was an interesting transition. The months following were hard, and people that maybe needed a physical gym space went to that. And there were a lot of them that came with us because we had cultivated such a community with them and such a relationship with them for so many years. We have some clients that are still with us today that have been with us for probably, six, 7 plus years, which is sometimes insane for me to even think about. But
it's definitely rare in like CrossFit, right? Like that doesn't happen too often in CrossFit gyms.
Yeah. So it was kind of a blessing for us in that aspect of like, we already had something established and we already knew we were going with the online stuff. And the physical space was a really pivotal, like transitional moment in our lives, because again, we had just had our second child. I mean, OJ was literally a week old when we decided to shut the gym down. And the months following were tough. They were tough, between doing all the stuff and having a newborn. But I think the fact that despite the fact that we had the conversation with our members of like, this is where we're going, and we still had that support there and people that loved us, and that it wasn't about the physical space. It was about what we brought to the table for them. And they stayed through that. Was really just, I don't know, a reassurance that we were moving in the right direction and that it was going to be okay.
Yes.
So yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So tell us about your guys, like, how does your business, like, what does it look like now? Like when you say online, like for the people that are like, give us an idea of this. It's kind of abstract right now. Like, tell me, like, what does that look like when people work with you guys?
Well, we could even kind of talk through how we got to where we are today, because today is way different than the day we decided to close the gym.
Yeah.
When we first started, it was kind of a continuation of what we had in the gym, boot camp, right? So now it's just an online boot camp, or then it just turned into an online boot camp, and then our individualized. And we really like forked the two. So individualized was its own thing that we focused on. And truthfully, it was a break. It was a mental break for us because we were just so kind of bogged down. The mental load, which is a term that I've recently heard, was extremely high for an extremely long period of time. And we just kind of like took a break, we just did some things and had some fun. And I got into woodworking, and Alex started like painting things and all kinds of fun stuff, things that I think we wanted to do for a long time, but never could.
Yeah.
And then our other employee ran the boot camp online, and we just kind of let her do her thing. And we were able to step away a little bit and give us some space and peace, which I think allowed us to be creative. And eventually we got to the point that we started to think back onto the business. And that's kind of where the AO fitness concepts idea started to come out of. So, I mean, it was not AO fitness up to just a handful of months ago. It was 4-H nutrition and training. Okay. So like a different name and a different feel.
Original, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so we were talking, saying like, okay, what do we do with this thing? Like, where do we want to go? How do we want to take it somewhere new and different? And then AO came about, and we've now merged the group online stuff that we have, which is Daily Grind, and our individualized. So everything's kind of under this AO Fitness Concepts umbrella, and we're all moving in the same direction now, which for me has felt so much better, to not have things separated, and to have our personalities inside of everything in the business now again has been really nice. And it's been really fun to get back into that stuff.
Yeah. I think too, 2020 and 2021 was such a transitional year. I mean, not just like us, I think it was for everybody. Like it was, though these last 2 years were something that I just look back on and think to myself, like, holy shit, we've been through a pandemic. We've been through transitions in communities. We've been through transitions in what life is, what looks like what life looks like normal, right? What's normal.
Mhm.
And I think as much for everyone else, that was the case for us also. And so during that transition, and obviously we have connected through my own mental health and me finding clarity in my own space through therapy. Um, and a big transitional split was last year for us. And about midway through, I looked at Darren and I said, I think this is where I want to take the business. This is where we want to go with it, And I always tell people that I am the like fire starter. I'm the like burn the grass kind of human. Darren says I'm horrible with analogies, but I'm like I'm running down the street, burning the grass, and Darren's coming behind me, pouring water and making sure that it all stays in place.
With like that little sprinkler
Yeah.
water can, just nice and easily putting the fire out.
Yeah. So about midway through, we decided to make a transition and to really create this cohesive brand that allowed all of our clients to live underneath this umbrella and to really co-create together. So,
and we've, so a good place to talk about what we actually do. And I think where the whole feel of AO came from and is now is education. Mm-hmm. Because we kind of sat down and said, well, like, yes, we've had our hands on thousands of people. Mm-hmm. If like the 10,000 rule to become good at something is true, like we're there,
Yeah.
We can watch something from a mile away, a deadlift from a mile away, and pick out all the little faults, right? But how do we get that to people online? It's hard, because we're not in person. And not everybody's videoing themselves. Rarely do people video themselves. It's hard to get them to do that. So to be able to get people to move correctly and to eat right and to take care of themselves, it's giving them education.
Yes.
So we said that's what we've been really good at more than anything else over the years. And what we really like to do is to educate people, to give what's in our head out to people. And that's what AO, I think, long-term is going to be our biggest thing. The program's fun and good, ID and daily grind. The nutrition stuff is great, but gosh, I mean, we're like only a few months in, and how many documents are in the brain bank? Like 30 something documents are in the brain bank, and it's all aspects, lifestyle, nutrition, movement. So we're like dumping our education into this thing to be able to give it to other people.
Yeah.
And let them, run and do things.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's what sets you guys apart. I mean, I don't know. I've never done, I think street parking is one of the popular ones, right? I've never done that. But what I've heard is like, it just seems like it's more of like, here's the programming. Here's how to work out at home. And for nerds like me, like, that's great. And I can do my own programming, but I pay coaches to find the faults. Like, how am I not doing this properly? How can I do it more efficiently? I pay for the education.
Right.
Yeah. That seems like that's what's setting you guys apart from the other programming is just here's programming with education.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Well, that's true both in the brain bank on the nutrition side stuff, and then even inside the program. I have a bad habit. I suppose it's a bad habit of like writing too much, like so here's the workout.
As you can tell, we're long-winded.
Here's the workout, and then here's the description of how the workout should feel underneath of it, right? Like, here's where you'll feel, here's the points, and if you need something, change to this. That's, I think, like inside the program, that's what's been fun for me to do, is to be able to find a way to get that across to people without having to be in person. So that's a little bit tricky. It actually, it's funny. It always takes me back to my first job interview out of college. Was for some oil field company. Gosh, oil field. And they asked me to describe to them how to tie my shoes without using my hands, like without showing them with my hands how to do it. So I had to like sit there with my hands in my lap and be like, okay, let's tie my shoes. And it was hard. It was really hard. Communication was hard for me for a very long time. So to be able to get that out now on the program in a very effective way has been really fun to practice and to get into. And from what I can tell from feedback already, it's been going pretty good. People are doing pretty well.
Good. I think it's a missing component, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, again, I just always go back to that I'm the nerd. It's like, that's what I pay for. I don't go to a CrossFit gym for you to be like, oh yeah, good squat.
Right.
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 I'm paying for you to tell me your ass is too far out. Like, engage your ass, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Yep.
Well, I think education is just so empowering for people too, so often, and this is a big reason why we decided to create this all-encompassing program, which you've talked about all kinds of things. I don't think you actually talked about what it is, but that's the reason why we've created this program, is because I looked at Darren about midway through last year and I said, if I didn't know what I know with nutrition and exercise, I would feel completely lost. And there are so many freaking mothers out there and busy humans and people that are just hoping to find something on the internet. I see that even every day scrolling through Instagram and Facebook of people asking questions of like, how do I do these things? And how do I get there? And ungodly amounts of poor information, unfortunately, that just continue to create this confusion around the exercise and nutrition space. And I said, gosh, I just want to be able to empower people and to give them the knowledge that they need to be able to take care of themselves, whether they're in a really easy season of their lives or a really hard season, which often happens. We talk about all the time, like life is fucking 50-50, right? And 50% of the time, if you're like in the thick of things and you don't know how to take care of yourself, then you're going to continue to have these situations of yo-yo over and over and over again. But if you can understand why, if you can understand how to do those things, how to transition your exercise and your eating and go from eating macros to just intuitive eating, then it's going to allow you to have that fluidity in your fitness that is going to carry you for the long term, and that to me is way more important and also gets you the results that you want over time. So all this talk of nutrition and exercise, basically our company is an all-encompassing education and training platform. So we have two ways to work with us. We have an individualized, or we call it an individualized design, where it's a one-on-one. We create a specific plan for you. We have monthly calls, things along those lines. And that is specifically tailored towards you. And then we also have what is our signature group program, the Daily Grind, which is daily training. And the training is a templated program, but it is based for the individual of the busy human that's just trying to stay in shape, that doesn't have a ton of time on their plate. So there's different variants of resources, from like full gym equipment to no equipment, from 60 minutes of exercise to you can choose the 30-minute option where you just need to get in and get out. And then all of our clients have access to what we call the AO Brain Bank, something Darren referred to, where there's like 30 plus digestible documents of how to calculate your calories, how to calculate macros, to what to look for with intuitive consumption, things to help with holiday tracking or around busy seasons, things along those lines for nutrition, traveling, sleep management, stress management. It's just a whole kit and caboodle of things that you can look at and take away and be able to utilize into your life right away, that are going to help to elevate not just your fitness, but overall health and wellness. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd also love to know where the term kit and caboodle came from. I've heard it so many times and I've never looked it up. I'd be really curious to find that out.
Yeah. I hear I'm an old soul.
Yeah. You definitely have old speak. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Whatever.
So tell me, nerd out with why you guys love fitness and nutrition so much. Or why do you love programming so much, Darren? Why do you love nutrition so much, Alex? Because I know that's kind of both of your individual specialties.
Yeah. Yep. Well, for me, it's pretty simple. It's just living the way the human body is kind of meant to live. We're not meant to be sedentary, and we're not meant to eat McDonald's every day. Like it's just, we didn't evolve from a McDonald's eating something, right? Like we are animals. We were on this planet living in caves and walking around barefoot and doing these things long before we had electricity and cars and fast food. So like, honestly, to me, it's just taking the human body back to what we were meant to do. Live simply, eat simple, real foods and enough of it, move daily. Doesn't always have to be high intensity, but just move your body daily. And long term, you're going to save yourself so much pain and heartache. Like people are so caught up in what's happening now and how it feels now that I think a lot of people forget and don't think about what you're going to feel like 10, 20, 30 years from now.
Right.
But it's important to think about that stuff. You don't have to like live there all the time, but as I'm doing a back squat, I'm thinking, okay, this is good now. It's going to help me now. Is this going to allow me to walk up and down stairs, to hike up a mountain? Like I'm going to be 120 years old hiking up a mountain, and falling off or fighting a bear or something. Like that's the way I want to go. I don't want to be in a facility, somebody changing my diaper because I didn't move and I didn't take care of my body.
Right.
And I think that if we give people some tools and some education and some knowledge that is just not taught to us, right? Like we didn't learn this naturally. We had to find these answers and to actually want to research them and get the information. So if we can give that to people and they can start to live a little bit healthier, well, now we're driving down healthcare costs. We're saving people money in the long term of their life. We're saving people heartache and pain in the long-term reality of their life. We're saving people relationships. How many fights and marriages have ended because the body and the mind are not together, and that causes issues between relationships. And I mean, at the gym, I don't know how many times, one person would come in looking to change their lifestyle, but the other half of their life doesn't care, doesn't jump on board, and if anything, pulls them backwards.
Right.
So educating people for that reason is really like where I come from with it.
Yeah.
Darren's the technical of
our for sure
family.
I'm the square builder, right? They all fit into a square and it goes up. Like that's right. That's how I build.
We were actually laughing the other day because our son has these like so we have blocks. 2 children and our son has these magnetic blocks and he likes to build all of his blocks like up. Darren will practice with him, and I am very much the like, ooh, this might look pretty on this side. And so everything's like asymmetrical and off and
free flowing, free
funky and But I think that's like a huge part of what we do. For me, and this is kind of funny because prior to what we did, I mean, again, we're rolling in near year 9 almost. But a big part of us is that Darren is technical and I am kind of the emotional. So Darren's background was engineering.
Okay.
And I came from a physical therapy assistant background, and I was on the back end of helping people to recover. And a couple of things for me, like exercise and nutrition, first and foremost, saved my life. I really, really, truly feel that. I was in a really rough space in 2012. I was always an athlete. I lost that. I started into the workforce, wasn't taking care of myself, eating fast food on the regular. We've even kind of talked about some of the issues I've had for a very long time. In my teenage years, even through my young adult years of poor body image and restriction and binging tendencies. And on the nutrition end, I think really I'm so passionate about that because it saved me. It really gave me the knowledge to take care of myself, to understand what I was going to combat some of the feelings that I was having with and around food. and around movement. And it really gave me back my power, it gave me back my power resource that I was missing for those few years after I had stopped being an athlete and I had lost that identity. Right. So for me, nutrition has become such a passion for me because there are so many people out there like us. There are people out there that feel like they've lost their identity in some spaces and they don't know where to go and they don't know where to start. And for me, that's really important, And on the other side of that, on the more technical side, I was in therapy. I had worked outpatient and both inpatient. And at one point, I looked at Darren before I decided to take a leap of faith and literally quit my very well paying job to run a gym with him with not a lot of pay. And I just told him, I said, I was really tired of fixing people after they had already gotten to a point of unhealthy. And I wanted to be on the side of prevention. We wanted to be on the side of helping others to really live and fulfill their life and to live a full life in a space that they wanted to live in, and to not have to come to work every day and say well, Mr. So-and-so, didn't take care of yourself and you're grossly overweight and your health is poor and your diabetes is, rampant. And now we need to really fix some of those things to be able to get you to where you can live a life that you want to live. So
not to mention most people that you were working with didn't really care to be fixed.
Well, and at that point, I think you're in a space that you've gone for so long, I think though we talk about habits and building habits and what was the thing we talked about the other day about 5% of your brain is conscious and the other 95% is habitual, is the subconscious, So if you're really only operating on 5% of consciousness on the daily basis, and you've built years and years and years of the subconscious, coming in to see someone for a couple of times a week, therapy, or even just, general exercise, the odds are so challenging, And so I think the preventative aspect of being able to catch people early and to help them to create those habits early instead of when they're sick, when they're injured, was really something that just kind of hit home for me. And I think the both of us really. Mm-hmm. So,
yep. Yeah, actually, you got me thinking about, we were in the kitchen of a house that we were renting from a friend, right? Because CrossFit gym owners don't make a lot of money, right?
We were poor. We were very poor then.
For probably a year or so, Alex was my only coach. And yeah, I can't even count the times that she would say we need to bring a boot camp in. Let's bring a boot camp in. I'd be like, yeah, okay. You coach it. You bring the boot camp in and you coach it. So we actually got to the point where now she was coaching and kind of doing both part-time at the gym and then full-time at her job. And then it was time to jump full body into the pool and start swimming and drop a little money onto a boot camp program to start into the gym. And that was kind of the day that we decided that you would leave that job and come full-time, and bam, here we are.
I'm the fire starter.
Here we are.
Yep.
How did you started Black Dog, right?
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
What made you start that?
A lot of naivety. I was an engineer in the oil field and then lost my job, got laid off during one of the downturns that happens every single year. And was out of work for 4, 5, 6 months, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life at that point. Because I did not want to go back to the oil field. It just was not a life that I wanted to live anymore. And I started coaching in the meantime. I had been doing CrossFit for a few years at that point.
Okay.
And every location I would go to when I worked in the oil field, I'd find a CrossFit gym.
Okay.
And I'd go to it, and I'd meet the people and be part of the community for, months at a time. And I enjoyed it. It was really fun. And it was something that felt like sports.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed that. This was like my mindset at that point, right?
Yeah.
Go hard, don't eat, go as hard as you can, right? Like, don't worry about what you're eating, just go harder.
Yeah. Outwork a bad diet.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Yes.
That's not true.
That's not true. Yeah. So I was started coaching at this little CrossFit gym in San Antonio.
Okay.
And I had, kind of shadowed the owner and the coach for a while. And then I started getting into it and getting people moving. And it was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was so much fun to get my hands on people and actually start to like teach the things that I was already doing for a long time. And I was doing that for maybe like a month. And I was like, this is what I want to do. Yeah. I'm going to start my own gym. Yeah. So just like immediately started looking, different life at this time. Yeah. And we were coming back to Lawton, or potentially coming back to Lawton. So I started looking around Lawton for spaces. And then there was another gym here. They wanted to sell. And I said, this is it. Like, this is it's timing. I can't believe these things are all coming together at the same time. No, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never run a business before, but I have a passion and I feel like I can be good at this. So there it is.
Yeah.
And I came in July of 2013 and got no handover, right? Like, these people were out. They were out the door and gone by the time that I already got there, like in their minds, right? So I didn't even coach. I think I coached one class before the official transition. I had met a handful of members and knew like one or two from like my previous time there. And that was it. And they left on a Saturday and I had my computer there and I was like, all right, who's signing up? Like just bringing people in the office and signing people up. And it was just me running the whole dang thing for a year and a half before you started to come in and help. Yeah. And yeah, so when I say I was naive to what it took to run a business in a gym, for sure. Like, there probably has never been someone as naive as me, because that's just my personality too,
We have the same story
all the time. And yeah, right. Yeah. Like, so how did you get started into it?
I'll answer the question, but I have to, because I know we want to talk about mindset and positive talk, self-talk.
Yeah.
So I want to establish like why, for all of the humans that are like, Kim is like, why is she so obsessed with CrossFit? Because I lived most of my life under the programming of victim mentality, right? And I've always been in the gym. I've been an athlete, and like, I'm used to working out by myself because none of the rest of the girls in high school wanted to work out, right? Yeah. And so it was always doing that classical bodybuilding, whatever, right? And it was always me and the boys over there in the dumbbells, right? Which I'm totally fine with because I love punking them out. But but when I found CrossFit, it felt so empowering. I felt like all the limitations of being a woman and all the limitations that had been programmed into me were left at the door. And they were like, you can do whatever. Like, and you better go over there and pick that barbell up, right? Like, I don't care if you have a vagina, go pick the fucking barbell up, right? And it was like, these are my people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And so I just felt so empowered. And I think, and then like tragedy happened in my life, like a flood hit my home and the CrossFit community stepped up, and I was in a terrible marriage. So I could escape and go to my CrossFit gym and feel in control of my life. And so I think that that's why for me, like, it was my saving grace, right? And I fell in love with it, and I just have this loyalty to it.
Yeah.
So with that, I started CrossFit in August 2012. Just that kind of like, they were more of a boot camp CrossFit gym, but I didn't know, I'd never done CrossFit. So I just thought this was normal, right? And I loved it. So I went and got my L1 in January after only being an athlete for so long, but I've been doing personal training for 15 years before that, right? My bachelor's is also in exercise science. And I stayed in CrossFit. So that would have been 12. Then I got a divorce, moved to Oklahoma in 15. Yeah. Started going to CrossFit gym in Ada. I liked the community. It was a smaller gym, right? and had a personal crisis. I was like, what am I doing back in higher ed? I hate higher ed. And here I am again. And it was like the most mic drop epic moment. Like I was done with that bitch. And so I packed up my shit that morning, me and my coworker, there was only 2 of us. We packed our stuff up. I typed up our letter of resignation. I walked it up to HR and then got in my car and left. And I have no idea at what point that woman found out her only 2 employees had quit that day.
Wow.
But because I burnt that bridge, I knew like I can never go back. Like this is not going to look good on a resume. I have to go pursue my dreams. And my dream was to own a CrossFit gym. So I approached the gym owner. I was like, hey, I got money. I'll be your partner. And just like your guy, he was like, fantastic. Can I have a check? Right? Like I never coached there. I was just an athlete there. He took my check and left. I didn't know how to be a business owner. I just knew like, I love CrossFit. I've coached for a while. I can do this.
Yep.
And me and my laptop, just like you were like, well, I guess I'll just figure out marketing and advertising. And I don't know if it happened to you, but for me, half of them quit with the change of owners.
Yeah.
And that was devastating to me because I didn't know business was personal.
Right.
So I thought they were leaving because of me and I didn't know how to separate that. And so it was hard being a gym owner, you know, and it was just me. I had a few coaches that coached in exchange for their membership.
Yep.
Right. No, I would never do that. But so after 2 years, I was just like, it just took such an emotional toll on me. Like people, because in Ada, it's the headquarters of a certain Indian nation. They opened up a brand new CrossFit gym for free.
Right.
And it was like so hard to compete with that. Right. And I was so, like you said, naive. And so I was just like, I can't do this. And so I sold at that point. But so I get it.
It's hard to tie your like personal worth. Yeah. I was gonna say wealth, but it's just personal wealth too, but your personal worth to how many members you have, you know? And if that's all you know about owning something or running your own business, then for sure, right? Like I am not popular or I am not appreciated or loved if my membership is not X amount or if it's not increasing.
Operating. Yeah. I love programming. We're CrossFitters. I feel like most of us are a little bit masochistic or sadistic. So I love programming and like watching them like, oh, wow, that one was a hard one.
Yeah. I remember that one.
Yeah. So that's kind of my journey.
I really think, you know, business, especially for us, like business and the aspect of coaching has really pushed us in our mindset, you know, because of some of those things, because we're like you, we didn't come with a business degree and all of the things, you know, and I think that required us to 2 things. One, have to communicate with each other on a very deep level very quickly, but also for us to really dig into our own headspace around, you know, business and, you know, what we were worth in our company and why we were doing what we were doing, you know. And I think that really over time has played such a big role in how we've even developed in our business in the company of AO Fitness Concepts, you know, because without it, I don't think we would be where we are currently.
No way.
You know, without all the hardship, I think, and although it sucked a lot, you know, we definitely wouldn't have the knowledge and the ideas that we do now to be able to help people and to help them in a way that's going to allow them to thrive on a daily, you know.
We definitely were trial by fire. You know, we learned darn near everything that we have in our brains at this point by doing, failing, trying again. Doing, failing, trying again. Well, that didn't work. All right, what's next? You know? Sometimes I say, you know, I don't know, like what's wrong with me. I think I have like, this is probably a better question to ask you, Kim, but like something's wrong. Like I don't get like stressed that much, you know, and I don't see the negative side of things very often, you know. I'm just kind of like, okay, well, let's just keep moving forward. Let's just keep going, you know. Might
Yeah.
as well. What else? What other option do we have? I don't really know what else I can do, but just say let's just keep going forward.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely helped us pick up some of that knowledge and kind of get to where we are now, for sure.
I think it's interesting that we're programmed to think that there's something wrong with us. Like,
Right. I know. Yeah.
nothing wrong, right? You just have a human brain that is able to see things kind of a little bit without as much emotion, and like, you don't make it mean anything about you and your worth, right? Like failure isn't tied to your worthiness or enoughness, is what I'm hearing. It's like, oh yeah, we failed. This is part of it. We just keep moving forward, right? Which is the true entrepreneur. Like, it's the skill set that entrepreneurs have to have.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and we have, it's perfect that you say that too, because I don't think that we thought of ourselves as entrepreneurs until like 2 months ago. You know, we were business owners, we were gym owners, we were coaches. Mm-hmm. That's what we were. And we had this business. That's what allowed us to do the things that we were doing. But when we finally made the switch, and that took a little bit of coaching, you know, our business coach and some other people that we had around us to get us to switch to say, well, yeah, we're coaches and this is what we do, but we're also entrepreneurs. Like, we are running a business, we're building a business. And to think of it that way has just been kind of relaxing. Well, I mean, for me, you know, I know it's tough, you know, it's tough, but for me, it's just been kind of relaxing, where I can say, it's helped me zoom out. It's helped me zoom out and see this bigger, grander picture of AO Fitness.
Yeah. And
not say like, well, I'm so invested in like the day to day that I can't pick my head up and just say, well, it's an up and down. It's the stock market, right? Like, you know, we are here and we'll be here again, and then we'll be here again, and then we'll be here again. And to be able to see that bigger picture and zoom out has been very relaxing and calming. And just saying, you know, we're going to get there. We just got to keep moving forward, keep doing what we're doing, keep putting out smart information, what's in our heads, and people are going to catch on. You know, we're doing some good shit over here.
To be like a teachable moment right now to our audience. Like, I want you guys to see how we do one thing is how we do most things. Okay. And Darren just explained very clearly in like the shifting of, this is how I see myself. I am a gym owner. I'm a gym owner, right? And the box that you put yourself in, right? Which did not allow your brain to see a bigger perspective, because then it spends its time looking for evidence to prove like, yep, we're just a gym owner. We're not entrepreneurs. Exactly. Right.
Definitely.
When we can move out of a box and open our perspective and be willing to see a wider view, then we can allow ourselves the freedom to include other parts of our identity into our image of who we are, which allows us to be more creative, allows us to reach more of our potential, right? Versus this very put myself in a box mentality. And it just, you apply that to all areas of your lives. Because I know you have clients, right? I can just hear in my head clients that are like, well, I've lost weight before, right? And I just can't keep it off. Like, I've tried other programs before and they didn't work, or I can't trust myself to like actually show up and do the work. It's because they have a belief that that's who they are. And they put themselves in that box, and they're going to go to work to produce more evidence. And when we can broaden that out, like, this is who I was in the past, because I put myself in a box to believe who I was in the past, right? And if I allow myself the freedom to redefine who I am and always continually evolve, like, then I get to take this journey and become something else and make new changes.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you talked about zooming out, because that is something that we talk with our clients about on a very regular basis, about zooming out, seeing the whole picture, and shifting your mindset to zoom out, you know, because so often, you know, I can imagine in therapy, it's the same thing. You know, I struggle with that, with some of the mindset stuff that we talk about, but exercise and nutrition specifically, it is so hard to zoom out and to see the whole picture of what's happening
For sure.
in your life, because you're in this day-to-day thing. You're like, oh gosh, I haven't seen, it's been a week and I haven't seen, 2 pounds of fat loss or something.
Sorry. Choking on my water.
Yeah. It's been a week and I haven't seen, X weight loss, or I still feel like I haven't gotten stronger, but it's only been like a couple of days, or so on and so forth. Or even something along the lines of like, people often struggle with, again, life is 50-50. Sometimes your season of life is really easy and things are flowing. Sometimes your season of life is really stressed and you've got, kids to run to all these different places, and you have all these different responsibilities, and your work is heavy and your relationship is heavy, and during that time you feel like everything's crumbling, right? You don't have a handle on your stuff, which in reality, you're still better than you were 6 months ago. You're still better than you were 6 months ago, but in the moment you're stuck in that day to day, and you're struggling to see the whole entirety of what's happening. And if you can actually shift your mindset to see the full picture, and for flip's sake, I am like classic on this too. I'm like, oh my gosh, everything is crumbling, and if I sit back and I take a look and say like, damn, it's been 3 months and we have, 40 plus people in daily grind, and they're incredible and they're making progress and they're doing all these things.
Actual progress too, which is really cool.
Really sustainable progress, and learning and growing and communicating, then it doesn't feel like those day-to-day struggles are so rough. I think that just goes with everything. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And fitness and nutrition is no exception. It's just like work, you get up, you put your pants on, you go to work. And it's not an exception for you to be able to get up and still take care of yourself, to still eat well, to move your body, because it's something that you need to be doing. So
it's part of being human.
It's part of being human, and also taking care of your system. So yeah, I love the zoom out thing. I sometimes try really hard to.
It's hard.
It's tough sometimes. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Well, it kind of, I know one thing that we wanted to talk about was positive mindset. Well, I mean, I could talk about this forever because I think it's a epidemic in today's world. Social media, immediate gratification, lack of patience in general in the majority of population. But I don't think it's anybody's fault. I think that the human brain is not evolved to handle what we have in front of us today. I think technology has outpaced the human evolution leaps and bounds, right? We have developed so quickly these phones and technologies that for hundreds of thousands of years, the human brain has not had to deal with. Only in an extremely short period of time has this caveman head had to deal with social media or social media. I mean, like that's, for me, that is in 50 years, what DuPont and the chemical companies had to pay for over the last 100 years of the stuff that they've been dumping in our water and in our grounds. Social media will have to pay for what's been happening to people, kids, teenagers, suicide rates. It's all over the place, and it feels like it's getting crazier and worse. And I don't think that's like, I think there's some stats to prove that too. And I think we have not developed the ability to handle all of these things that are going on in front of our faces. And our caveman brains are not allowing most people to deal with that stuff on a healthy level, which is another reason why we preach so much about healthy living, taking care of your brain, doing meditation, exercising each day, because it's important, and if you don't do those things, it just gets even worse.
Yeah. I agree with you. I have a different spin on it.
Okay.
I think that, and this is just my opinion, my thoughts, right? Alex and I talk. Most thoughts are subjective interpretation of reality, not facts. My thoughts are that social media is bringing to a head what's been going on for a long time, right? I don't feel as humans, yes, human brain is wired for our safety to look for the negative, right?
Right.
We do not want our brain, if we're back to caveman times, I don't want my brain to be like, oh God, that flower's so beautiful. Look at the sun. Meanwhile, I'm being stalked by this lion.
Right.
My brain is like, don't give a shit about that flower. Like, he's approaching. Let's make some decisions, right? So yes, our brain is wired for the negativity. That's what it wants. It's just a protection mechanism. Here's why how I differed from you. I think fundamentally, we have not honed the skills of managing our brain and our thoughts. We believe all of them. And we haven't been given the basic skill set of what to do with emotions. So since that we don't have that, society came up with coping mechanisms for us. Alcohol, food, right? Drugs, social media, because we can check out. I feel different emotions with it, right? Netflix, retail therapy. And society's like, here, I don't know what to do with your emotions. Here are some things to do some things with your emotions, right? And so now what's coming to a head is like, this stuff doesn't work. Buffering doesn't work. We're suffering more and more and more because we don't have the basic skill set of how to manage this brain that's creating thoughts, that's creating emotions. And these coping mechanisms are no longer working for us.
Well, I have two thoughts on that too. One, I don't even think it's the lion that we're worried about. It's the human next door, because throughout human history, it wasn't lions that were killing humans. It was humans killing humans for more. Seriously, that's the way that we've gotten to where we are. It wasn't lions that killed more humans. It was humans that snuck in at night and raided other villages to get the women, to get the food, and to take over the land, right? So for us to look at people on social media and judge ourselves against them is maybe something a little bit to do with that, right? Like, you'd be looking behind you, looking for the village over to be coming at you. And now I'm looking on social media saying, well, this person is doing extremely well, right? Like, look at their Facebook page. They look so happy. And it's just kind of like a little bit of a different perspective on it, but maybe there's something to that. I don't fucking know. Sure. One day it would be cool to be able to look into that, but yeah.
I for sure think that that's part of it. Yeah. Like, I love that shift on what our attacker is. But also, if you think about the primal brain, like, we are a social animal, right? Like, we have to live. Like, you can't take your baby and like, great, I had you. I got to go take a vacation for a month and a half. Take care of yourself, right? Like, we need other humans when we're little to take care of us. So our primal brain is wired. Like, mom and dad have to, mom and mom, dad and dad. I don't care. I'm not like, right? Mom and dad, humans, have to feed me. They have to clothe me and provide shelter, because if they leave when I'm 4 or they send me out to the wild, I'm going to die.
Right.
So our brain is wired to like, make sure I fit in, make sure I'm making the other humans happy, because I cannot be isolated and kicked out, because that means death. So I think part of that plays into looking at social media is like, do I fit in? Am I enough? Am I worthy? Am I doing this right? Because I don't want to be kicked out of the tribe.
Right.
And it's like overcoming that primal wiring, because we don't live in tribes anymore. I get to make up my own fucking tribe.
Right. Yeah. Well, and the answer is kind of simple. Like, yes, you are enough. Yes, you are good enough. Yes, the things you are doing is okay. There is no wrong answer, right? It's just all learning experiences, and you either learn from it or you don't, right? And positive self-talk totally has something to do with that. Like, you look in the mirror and you say, I am good enough. Or you look at the work that you do and you say, I'm proud of the work that I did. May not be A+ all the time, right? But I am proud of the work that I have put into it, because it's not in a vacuum. Work is not in a vacuum. Exercise is not in a vacuum. There are always other things vying for your attention and coming on top of you. So to be able to say like, I am proud of that. And I think people look at it as like kind of foo-foo or like Eastern medicine, right? Like people don't think of that as being valid. To be able to sit down and just breathe for 5 minutes could save your life.
Right.
You know, like if you do that on a regular basis, it could save your life. It could really change the way that you think, be able to handle your own emotions and to be able to talk to yourself in a positive light. That stuff really does make a difference. And you become what you tell yourself you are, right?
Oh,
so if I am stupid or ugly or unathletic or whatever, that is what I will be. I will manifest that in my life. But if I am smart and handsome and strong and loving, then those are the things that I will become over time.
Yeah, and I think where people get stuck, Darren, on this, and this is what basically I spend my career doing now, right? And people pay me for, is we have the reticular activating system in our brain, and that thing is wired to just look for evidence, right? So when we have beliefs, my belief, I'm not enough, my brain spends its day looking for evidence through the RAS and creating evidence to prove that belief is true, right? So if I don't believe I'm enough and I go look in the mirror and I'm like, I'm enough, my brain's like, fuck you. I have 5 stacks of evidence, Kim, from 10 years to prove that's not true, right? And so then it creates this cognitive dissonance for us. Like, I want to believe this, but my brain has all this evidence to prove it's not true. So it's like learning how to like dismantle that. And just, I love the question, is this a fact? Is it a fact that you're not enough? What is not enough? Where are the facts in that sentence that I'm not enough, right? Can you go prove that in a court of law? Because then it makes the brain like, wait, this belief is not rooted in facts. I thought it was. Am I willing to let go of it?
Is that why with RAS, like the sticky notes of writing positive present tense, positive things on to yourself and that you see throughout the day is effective?
Yeah, creating evidence. Right? Because you go through like one belief, right? I'm not enough. We want to be over here. And Alex and I just talked about this to I am enough, right?
Right.
The in between that is the river of misery. It's cognitive dissonance in the psychological world. It's cognitive dissonance. It's your brain's holding these two beliefs that are opposing. And it feels terrible for us, right? Like the unknown that creates, it triggers our primal brain. So that river of misery for us feels terrible. And we want to like black and white things. I'm either here or I'm there because I don't want to be here. When it is, this doesn't belong, this doesn't serve me anymore. I'm not enough as I'm working. We have to go to work creating a bridging thoughts is what we call it, to get over here. And that's where the Post-it notes come in. In the world of possibilities, is it possible that I could be enough? First rung in the ladder, right? Second, like, okay, it is possible. Could I be enough in here? What is like, could my definition of be enough actually be factual?
Interesting.
That is also a big part of creation of fitness too. You know, like we talk about this again, going back to the way you do something is the way you do everything, you know? And we talk so much about that with our clients. Is like, you have to have the belief that you're going to get there. Right? Because it is inevitable. Like if you start to make steps, you start to eat better food, you start to drink more water, you manage your stress, you sleep, you know, like you exercise or have movement every day. Like it's inevitable that you're going to create a body composition that you enjoy. You're going to improve in your energy. You're going to have better sex drive. Like those things are inevitable to happen for you, but you have to really believe that it's going to be the case before you even get there, you know, because if not, then you're just like working in the day to day being like, well, I don't know what I'm doing this for right? Sure. I don't feel like I'm doing this for anything because you don't get that immediate decision. Like, okay, I exercised today. Now all my dreams have come true. Like it's 6 months down the road, you know? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Although I would be probably a bajillionaire if I could make something happen in a day, but here we are.
You can't.
Right. Exactly.
That's the answer.
We can't get to A to F, which I talk about with you all the time. Right. I can't jump from A to F. No, but I think that's a big thing with not just mindset and positive self-talk and a healthy mindset is like, it doesn't come right away. And in fitness, I think a lot of times people have these goals, you know, they want something, but they don't believe that they are there yet. You know, they don't believe that they can actually achieve it. They just say like, well, I want to lose weight, or I want to, you know, fit into this outfit for my son's wedding or whatever, you know, and they want something, but they don't feel it yet. Right. They don't believe that they're like, I'm going to get there. I don't give two shits what's going on. I'm already there. I just got to put in the work, you know? So I think when you talk about bridging the gap, it's like such an important piece of the puzzle of like really being able to like hone in and say, yes, I think this is a possibility. Yes, this is inevitable. Yes, this is going to happen. So that when you're in the mix on the day to day, you're able to say like, well, it's inevitable, but I know that these things have to occur in order for me to get there. Yeah. So really being able to, one of the things that we actually even did in the gym were RAS statements for our clients. We still encourage people to this day to say like, you know, you want to believe something, write it up, put it present tense, put it where you see it every day, you know, and it's actually really cool that you talk about like, it creates evidence for people because we talk a lot about like, what evidence do you need to be able to feel like you're going to be getting to where you want to go, you know? And so often for even our clients, we talk about that, like, do you want something, you want to lose 30 pounds? You write it down. I've lost 30 pounds. Mm-hmm. I fit into X. I have more sex drive with my spouse, you know, and those things are things that you are wanting to look at every day so that, you know, the things that you're doing, the movement that you're doing, even if you're like, oh God, it's easier for me. It's less painful for me to sit on the couch, right?
For sure.
Man, it's so less painful to sit on the couch and watch Netflix instead of get out in the garage or whatever and move, or to eat vegetables versus going through a drive-through, you know. But if you have that belief that I am that healthy person, I'm doing these things for a specific reason, and you can continue to have that conversation with yourself, then that tends to snowball for you, you know. And I think that's a big thing, something that really hit home for me in my early stages of my fitness was like, I don't know, I want to be in shape. I want to do this, you know. Again, you know, CrossFit it's not something that we do consistently anymore. Our focus of health and exercise have shifted. But part of that for me was that I was empowered to say, I want this and I'm going after it, you know. And I just kept telling myself that every single day until I was competing and, you know, being on the podium and, you know, having the six pack that I never in my whole life that I thought I would have, you know.
It took you 6 months to get your first ring muscle up.
Yep.
I remember every single day she'd practice in that middle section of the gym on those rings, just trying and trying. But eventually you got there and way beyond that.
We've definitely had more knowledge of the exercise aspect since 2013. But yeah, I think that's like such a big part of everything from mindset in business. And, you know, we've talked about that so much, to exercise and nutrition, and really having something stick, right? Not just doing it for a little while, not just doing it to get to, you know, X vacation or whatever, but really like creating something that sticks for you for the long term, whether you're in a season where you're going hard in the paint or you're like, holy shit, I don't even know my own name today. So
you're like in my head again, which happens on a very, very regular basis. Because I was thinking, you know, something that I've noticed and seen over all the years and people that we worked with is people don't see themselves at the end of their journey. They don't typically visualize themselves being leaner, being stronger, being healthier. They're so stuck in that day to day. And oh man, I was thinking of something while you were talking about it. I'll get back to that. So I've got this like thought kind of formulating in my head about what you were saying. But what I've seen with most people is that they never, that's why they stop trying. That's why they stop, because they don't zoom out. They don't have that patience to zoom out and say, this can take some time. And the work that I'm doing now is hard, it hurts, and it's making me feel like I want to stop. But if I just keep going, and if I just show up each day and do a little bit, that will add up over time. And if I can just keep visualizing myself being where I will be,
Yep.
putting $1 million in the bank on a regular basis,
Yep.
wearing 2 or 3 or 4 sizes smaller clothes, or whatever your end goal is, you keep visualizing yourself doing that, and you will get there eventually.
Yeah.
But that's a tough sell for a lot of people,
Yeah, it is. And I think I want to just take a moment to like point out, like, how we do one thing is how we do most things. If you can develop that skill set, Alex, which you already have, right? I see the end goal where I want to be. I'm just going to work on my muscle ups till I get them, right? It's the exact same skill set to run a business. It's the exact same skill set to achieve any dream you want, right?
For sure.
Okay.
Practice.
We have these goals in our business. Like, I want to make 300K. I take that same skill set that I use to get muscle ups and I apply it to 300K.
Yeah.
Right. It's
yeah, small little pieces every day, small little pieces, small little wins.
I actually attribute that a lot of times with fitness, like exercise and nutrition, with like people who get degrees, because I'm like, it took you 4 years to get your degree, and you didn't just wake up one day and was like, I ain't going to school anymore.
Right.
You know why, right?
Yeah.
It's because we believe with school, like they have it planned out, right? The how is there.
That's true.
We believe like there's no question in my capability of doing it. It's, I just follow the how and I get what I want. But the reason why the humans get messed up in your fitness and nutrition goals, any dreams, right, is they don't know the how and they don't have the belief. That they don't believe it yet, right? So when we don't believe, we're in a hurry to get the result. Mm-hmm. I don't believe I can be 120 pounds. I'm making up numbers, okay?
Yeah.
I don't believe I can be 120 pounds when I weigh 200, okay? So I start my fitness journey and I haven't lost 40 pounds my first month. I'm gonna quit.
Right.
I need the instant gratification to prove I can believe this is true. And this feels terrible that I don't believe I can do it. I haven't got it. So it's giving me more and more evidence that I can't have what I want. Right. So I might as well quit. And that's why we always have to have the belief ahead of time. I believe I can do this. That allows us to access the thought it's inevitable.
Dang, you just gave me lots of good ideas.
Yeah. I'm over here writing down stuff. I got notes on top of notes. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly true. I wrote the thing about the school, we're literally just talking about people not being able to visualize themselves where they want to be. And it's so true with school. Like, you started college knowing that 4 years later, as long as you just showed up, did the work, you would graduate, you would have a degree, you would have a job, you'd be able to move forward with that. It's so true with health and fitness too. You show up, you do the work, you have this thought of where you're going to be down the road, and you just keep working to that point.
Inevitable. Like, that's what I try to teach my clients. Like, the thought is, it's inevitable. It's inevitable for me. And that's like the bonus of having a life coach, right? Is that I hold that belief for you while you can't have it. Like, I totally believe it's inevitable that you guys will make the number. I'm not going to say it, but like the number with the K behind it, right? Like, It's inevitable in my mind. There's not a question. I just have to hold it until you can get there.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's pretty much what we do with
coaching.
Ours too.
Yeah, for sure. Right.
Except for it's about exercise and eating healthy.
Yeah.
That's one reason why I describe us as professional coaches. Like, coaching has got a bad rap over the years, partly because of CrossFit gyms. You can go into a lot of CrossFit gyms and get good coaching. You can also go into a lot of CrossFit gyms and get bad coaching. yet they're still called a coach, and fitness life, there's good, there's bad, there's everywhere in between. But a lot of times you tell people that you're a fitness coach and the immediate thought is like, oh, that's got to be tough. It's like, fuck no, it's amazing. Right. You are a professional coach helping people move forward with their life, both fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, everything, So I truly believe that we are professional coaches, and that's how we run the business. That's how we coach our people. I don't know that there's any other way to do it, and it feels good to be able to say that out loud and be proud of that title.
Yeah, I think we often have to hold space for, you kind of talked about the like holding space for the inevitable for your clients, and I feel that even with us working together, and I often feel that with us working with our clients in nutrition and exercise is like, sometimes we have to hold space for them and to say like, you're going to get there, you're going to be fine. You just have to keep taking steps forward, because it can be challenging. It's not as simple as like the societal, you have 4 years to complete your degree. If you do these things, like these stepping stones are there, you're guaranteed to get to this point, I think, the aspects of the body and nutrition and mindset partly is, I think, a big problem with the mass of not always best information, right? The massive information that people unfortunately get that, I don't know, I guess somebody made a thought about that and created it at some point, but it complicates the aspect of those stepping stones, and so I think it's really important for us as coaches and professionals in that aspect to be able to not only guide, but to hold space and say, like, you are moving in the right direction. These are the stepping stones that you can take that are going to get you the things that you want down the road if you're willing to continue to take that path. So,
yeah. A lot of those messages on that you're talking about, those little things that kind of push you off track. It's the 6-pack abs in 6 days, right? Like,
sure.
You're trying to project someone further down the road, so they have this feeling of being able to zoom out and have patience and consistently get there, and they're moving and moving and moving, and they get sideswiped by 6-pack abs in 6 days, and it can be challenging for people for sure.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, we have to see it what it is, right? Like, businesses are businesses, and marketing knows how to market to the dark side of psychology is the wording, right? Manipulation, coercion, all this stuff. Like, they know, like, the human brain wired 3 things: primal, seek pleasure, avoid mental and physical pain and suffering, and utilize as little energy as possible. Okay, that's what our brain wants to do. So it's like, why the fuck do I show up to gym every day and have to wait a year and a half to get my 6-pack when I could do 6-pack in 6 days? My brain really loves that idea. So then it bypasses my prefrontal cortex. It does logical thinking, right? For that instant gratification, instead of like, wait, that's not how it works. Like, this is inevitable for me. So why do I need to be in a hurry? It's inevitable.
Yep.
Man, what a thought.
I know.
What a thought.
I know.
So you're saying we should promote 6-pack abs in 6 days? I'm just kidding.
That's an integrity with your guys' business model.
That's right. Yeah. That doesn't flow.
That does not align with what we do. We're very straightforward humans. That's something that we've always done. And, we always laugh. I'm like, I don't sugarcoat it. I just tell you exactly what I think is on my mind. And sometimes they call me the loose cannon, but that's okay.
Life's too short to be anything but.
We just allow the humans to be wrong about us. It's like, you that's right. Loose cannon. I'm pretty fucking intelligent and amazing, so whatever.
That's right. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I loved your stuff about like conspiracy theories and stuff that you were putting out. It's like, is it really?
Don't get him started.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Don't get us started.
They're not that conspiracy theory.
I know.
They're so true.
I think that's another podcast for another day.
Yeah. Well, we can have all kinds of conspiracy theory talk.
I'm holding him back, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So tell the people where they can find you guys, and I will also include it in the show notes. So
awesome.
aofitness.pro. aofitness.pro
is our website. Yep.
You can find information about the daily grinds. You can message us if you're interested in individualized. We have an application that people can fill out. Social media, Instagram.
Social media, you can find us primarily on mine. So Alex underscore, is that an underscore? Alex underscore aofitness.co.
And I'm Darren underscore aofitness.co.
Yeah.
On
On the Insta. Yeah.
Yeah. Alex typically has a lot of like helpful, easy things. So if you guys for nutrition or fitness stuff at home, she offers a lot of like easy, simple things to incorporate.
Digestible information for sure. Yeah.
Incorporate to your daily inevitable goals.
If you want to nerd out and also see me do very silly shit.
Yeah.
Join me on my Insta.
With a pretty smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Anything else you got?
No, this is really great. We appreciate you having us.
Yeah, this was
We're
really fun.
long-winded, so I feel like podcasts are something we can talk forever.
Yes. Yeah. This was really fun. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Good talk to you.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on, guys. And we will see you guys next week.
Sounds good.